Hello there, YouTube, and welcome to, I think it got to like 41 is the low it got. Pretty sure it's 49 now, and it's been raining all morning. Heavy at times, but mostly just that kind of soaker rain mist. Just enough to annoy the heck out of you. But anyway, it's gonna be a wet drive to work, wet drive home, but it looks like from Thursday through like Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, it's not supposed to rain. Saturday it's supposed to be sunshine, so we'll see how that all works out. You never know. Man, there's a lot of grass laying on the ground. You have no idea how thick those little patches are. But anyway, it is what it is. We got it down at least. Now, hopefully if the weekend's nice, we can get out and because now for the next few months it'll need to be mowed every single week. So that first mow is gonna be a tough one. That's gonna be a lot of bags. All right, let's roll. Okay, this is an interesting one. This is a 2018 Spyder RT Limited. Customer bought it from us the end of last year, and everything was fine. Before they could take delivery of it, it had the transmission recall done to it, and anyway, so they rode around. Everything was fine. To get some nice weather beginning, here a couple weeks ago, and they take it out riding, and once it gets hot, come up to a stoplight, you can see the tack bouncing and it'll stall, and can't get it started immediately. Let it set for a little bit and just key it off. Let it set for a little bit, fire it up, it goes fine again. Then come rushing up to a stoplight, stop sign, whatever, it'll do it again. And so anyway, it got tasked to me to diagnose what it is. So I hook it up to buds. It had a couple of voltage things related to the cluster. It's just normal things you see and I noticed that the tender is not being used on it because it's laying on the inside of the pocket here. I'm gonna run it through the little boot, and they got holes in got little holes in there. You can run it through and have it pop out the top side, so you can easily put a tender on it. That being said, the battery was at 12.58 volts, which is a little low. The charge on it's about 85, maybe 90%, but the health is like 98%. So the health is really, really good on it. It just needs to be charged. It's just a sign this thing hasn't been sitting on a charger. These things, when you're not using them, everything in my garage, like I've said 1,000 times, no matter what, I don't know when I'm going to ride it next. And even if it's something I'm riding every day, and say I rode to work, like the Spyders, when I was riding them back and forth to work every day, they rolled in, got a tender plugged in. Never did it sit overnight, even overnight without a tender in it. One, like those Optimates, it's constantly, playing with the battery, keeping it healthy. So even if it's just going to sit for, 12 or whatever hours, I don't care. I want it on that tender. These things have 7 computers in there, and they take juice to keep everything alive. So anyway, nothing unusual there. The battery just a tad low. I'll put it on a Optimate after I get her cord all sorted out. And so anyway, I had it down here running for quite a while. I want to check the oil on it, and I want to see if I can make it do anything weird. It's pouring down rain, and I don't have any rain gear. I just don't ride in the rain as it is, unless I'm stuck caught on a trip. So anyway, I go to check the oil, and oddly the cap's not locked down. Well, it was partially. How these things go, that it goes down and you find the spot, and then it's almost like doing a radiator cap. It grabs, and then you got to turn it until it stops. Well, it was just in there. I mean, all I had to do was that, and it came out. It was not on there right. So the oil's so clean in it because it's only gone about 900 miles since it was here last. And so it's so clean, I had to take a paper towel. I could tell it's overfilled, but I couldn't tell how overfilled. So you just, I grab our paper towel machines. When it gets about that thick, they stop functioning. So we take them out and we use them as like shop towels around the shop. They don't go to waste, So, I took a picture of it here. Well, let me just tell you right up front. I can see it's overfilled. And this is what I found when I did the white paper towel test. Here's the photo. So, yeah, that is absolutely, positively classic on 1330s. Despite, and I do mean despite, a caution sticker sitting right next to your dipstick. I don't know about you, anytime I see something that says caution on it, it grabs my attention. And it says, make sure the engine's at operating temperature. Refer to the owner, says, ride at least 15 kilometers or 9 miles. The Can-Am Spyder must be on level ground. Let it idle for 10 minutes. And then stop the engine and immediately check. You got within 2 minutes to check it. Well, here's a trick with 1330s. You don't have to shut them off. You can check them with them running. They're perfectly fine. Check them while they're running. And it won't change. Remember the twins, you could check them while they're running, but it would drop, like 1/8 of an inch or so while it was running. Checking it on the tank on the left-hand side on the twins. That oil level is just, first thing, it's got to idle for 10 minutes. Let everything settle down and if you, go, oh, what does it sound like when I rev it? Wham, wham. Well, now you're going to wait another 10 minutes. It has to idle for 10 minutes on level ground. And just reach down there and check it. So, classic, absolutely classic. It takes about 1 quart to, when they've been sitting, although not all, but the oil from the tank drains out down into the sump. That's why that caution sticker is there. And it takes about 1 quart, usually a full quart, to get it without it running. Now, it's been sitting for, several days, a week, whatever. I mean, it can sit here, like I can let this thing set for, 20 minutes, half an hour, and it will definitely show a lower reading than full. Because one thing, it's nice and hot now. It's all liquidy and gonna just whoosh, just go right back down in the sump. I mean, it's got things that slow that down so it doesn't do it immediately. But yeah, it goes into the sump. And that's where all the pumps are. So it doesn't matter that it's in the sump. What it does is the whole oiling system it's got pumps, that purge pumps and pressure pumps. They go and it rights everything. The thing with a dry sump motor is that the engine is running in only the oil that it needs to run in. In other words, the crank and transmission isn't slapping in the oil in the sump of your engine, where a regular wet sump engine holds oil in the engine. So when you go down the road, everything's splashing around in that. And plus the fact of moving the oil from one location to another tank and then pushing it back, it has a natural act of cooling the oil. So yeah, it's a quart overfilled. And the classic signs, I has to be 100 or more times, at the very least 100 times that this has happened. And the classic thing, it starts up, everything seems fine. You get it warmed up. You especially like you going through traffic or whatever, you come rushing up to a stoplight or a stop sign, and it'll stumble and often die. It's very important that you never overfill these things. If nothing, be on the side of caution. Be just an 1/8 of an inch below the full mark. I mean, you got a wide spread between, minimum and maximum, and they don't burn any oil. Never seen a 1330 ever that came in Most of the times when they come in here, because the people learn, the dipstick's all dusty and dirty. You can tell nobody's been checking the oil on this thing. And it's been, 9 or 10,000, bringing in for, their 9,300 mile sequence, or maybe it is the 9,300 mile service. The first one's at 3,000, the next one's at 93, and then every other one's at 9,300 miles. Got a nice long time between oil changes and, services. And no one's touched that dipstick. And I'll check that oil because, they got to be hot before I change it. And it's right where I left it, months ago. Or even more. They don't burn any oil. And the people that had the twins, because, you constantly have to check the oil on those things. Constantly. I tell people every other oil or gas stop, or at least every third gas stop. I think the book says it can burn 700 cc's within 1,200 miles. I've seen them burn a quart, maybe 1.2 quarts in 500 miles, or 1,000 miles. So yeah, just carry some oil with you if you're traveling with those things, and make sure your credit card's paid off, because you're going to spend a lot on gas, because them twins flat go through some gas. It's cheaper to literally my CRV gets about the gas mileage a twin does, but it holds a whole lot more gas. But anyway, that's an old car, old rattle box that it is. But 306,000 miles on it. And she's been ridden hard and put away wet a few times, but she still goes. But anyway, it's very important. And I've literally had people down here, and I show them, and I do the same thing. I get the old sucker out, and in case you're wondering, to figure it out from the seal of the stick, which would be the top of the tube, where it seals, down to the full mark, is exactly 9 inches. Now, if you have a newer one, you got to do the measuring yourself, because I think the newer ones have a shorter dipstick. I can't swear by that. I haven't actually measured one, but they seem shorter to me. The tank's probably got a different shape or something to it. But anyway, classic. Now here comes the fun part. And I every time I dealt with a customer, I says, you're a quart overfilled. You checked this thing while it's cold and added oil to it. Instead of just, somebody said I did that, I'm going, dang, you're right. You're right. How much is it going to cost me? You're absolutely right. I didn't see the caution sticker telling my whistler. Hold on. Sorry for the interruption. I think he's from On Track. Super, super nice guy. I can't believe they still haven't fixed the horn on that thing. The corporate things. I think he has a safety vest thing on. Those what do they call that? Day glow. Let's see what he's got here. Pretty sure it says On Track on the back. Oh, no, that's not him. I don't know what delivery company that is. But it's sad when the company doesn't, isn't that a safety thing? I would think that'd be a huge safety thing, especially for a corporate vehicle. But anyway, if I made a mistake, I would own up to it, But every time they go, nope, I didn't add no oil to that thing. Well, there's a problem with that. There's a huge problem with that. We use oil change kits. Comes with 5.5 quarts. The most one of these will ever take is 5.5 quarts. The one I did the service on yesterday was just shy of 5.5, and you just, I let it run, get up the temperature, do its thing, and take it for a test ride, and come back. Let it sit here and idle for 10 minutes, and check the oil while it's still idling. You don't have to shut it off. And here's the thing: if you change the oil, absolutely put that dipstick in and lock it, because the oil tank is overfilled. Well, don't ask me how I know what happens when you're changing the oil and you put 5 quarts in that thing and start it up without putting the dipstick in. looks like a water hose coming out of there. If you ever cleaned up not only clean motor oil, but clean synthetic motor oil, you literally have to get a can of contact cleaner out and clean everything, because you just can't wipe it off of nothing. It just sticks like, I mean, it's so slippery. I mean, months later, the tools that got wet, you're still cleaning them things off. They're slippery in your hand. But what I do, and then I leave the little bottle out. This is one that I had extra in, you know, a little bit. Maybe that was the one from yesterday. Look how clean it is. It probably is. And I sucked a little too much, and I just took a little dab and just creep up on it slowly. And because I'm not taking it for the ride, I'll leave it about 1/8 of an inch below the full mark. Because even though I got it just multiple fan cycles, just sitting here on and off fan cycling, when you ride it, the oil temperature will be different. So I leave a little bit for expansion when I can't immediately take it out and ride it. And if it overfills, I just take the super sucker out and drag it back down. But what we get is the customer saying they absolutely did not do that. And I have no idea why. Just the fear that you're going to get a bill or something. You know, I would imagine they're probably not even going to charge here for my time or anything for this thing. I'll get paid, but it'll just be one of those things that, you know, they'll charge it to sales or something. He'll blame the salesman for not going over everything in detail or something, you know. Who knows? But odds are she's not going to pay anything. You know, there's enough things to worry about in life without laying there in bed thinking about going to sleep. And I just can't imagine laying there and going, I don't know. You know, I was brought up different time, different world. Definitely was a different world. And yeah, way different. Anyway, there's my chit chat for the day. I'll take the super sucker. I had one down here, but they kept don't suck gas with these things ever. In fact, when you get these things new, it tells you right on there, no gas. Because what happens, it weakens the plastic, and you get, you know, you're doing an oil change in a boat because you have to suck it out, or me doing this, and you know, you get some pressure on it or a vacuum on it, all of a sudden you hear this loud bang, and guess what happens? There's usually oil or something in there, and that goes all over the floor. If you spilt that much oil on the floor that's in that bucket right there, you'd have to call hazmat, because that will spread across the ground like no other. We had people that, you know, like the twins, you know, they're always valve cover gaskets, you know, water pump seal leaking, and they go, oh man, the oil's everywhere. Had to put 2 quarts in it, because they did it while it was cold and the tank was empty because all the oil went into the sump. And I go, how big was the bottle? It was a good 4 or 5 inches around. I said, that's like a drop of oil. A little bit more than that, but you know what I mean. Not enough that, that you're going to have a drastic change in your dipstick, you know. Anyway, so, yep. Overfilled 1 quart of oil on a cold engine that had been sitting, and that's about exactly what it takes to get it up to the, you know, the full mark. And these no engine, literally no engine nowadays, not for quite some time, for the last 20, maybe 30 years, none of those things. And you look in your owner's manual, you look in anywhere, caution, do not overfill. Never overfill these engines. They're designed to run with a specific amount of oil, and anything over that, especially because they got evap systems, it's taking your crankcase pressure, you know, the moisture I talk about that comes out of the crankcase when it's cold and goes into the air box and the throttle body and the top end, your valves, the top of your pistons are all sucking water for a while. Well, that becomes oil, and that creates a hydraulic condition, and that's what makes these things stall. A quart over, that's not a little over, that is drastically huge, a huge amount overfilled. And yeah, it causes problems. Good thing she didn't go down the freeway, because I've seen a lot of them. it builds so much pressure that the oil comes up the dipstick tube and spits out, runs down, goes all over the motor. And on 1330s, the header pipe runs right underneath that. So that could end in a whole nother disaster. But anyway, there we go. So the battery finished up on this thing. And you can see some things have moved around over here, because tomorrow morning I'm going to put together new 2026 F3 it's a F3 Limited Special Series. Not totally sure of how it's named out, but it is a special series and it is a limited. It's for a long-time customer, a gal that geez, that's crazy. You know, you're here long enough, you start thinking how long these people have been customers. It's crazy. It goes way back. But anyway, we'll be doing that tomorrow. And I was moving these things around, and I noticed that the dash is showing 11.2 volts on this one. It's been a month, I think it's been, since I cycled both of these things through. So they're both going to get the charge on it. I just hooked it up. I noticed that 2018 was charged. So the Optimate, a lot of you guys have got them, or told me you got them, and you see the benefit of them. Makes your batteries last a long time. And it appeared this one wasn't on the charger. So I was talking to the service writer for this, and he was down here this morning talking to me about that one. And I said, you know, for what this is costing this guy, somebody should probably take that thing up there and at least threaten it with some water. Make it feel like you got, you know, something other than, you know, the service items, repairs and stuff done to it. It'd be nice if the thing looked halfway decent. And he said it would. It just hasn't stopped pouring since we got here today. I've gotten soaked, I don't know how many times, going up and down the stairs there up to the service drive. But I don't need to test ride that. I do want to test this, get it, you know, for a decent test ride. Make sure that oil has flushed itself out of there. Yeah, it's a classic thing with these. And you haven't seen nothing. This is only March, and you know, we haven't had that much good weather. We've had it off and on. Luckily, we've had some nice days this March. But well, when it gets nice and it warms up and they all go out, we'll keep count of how many of these get the same thing. They check the oil, even despite that great big caution sticker right next to the dipstick. I don't know how your eyes just couldn't be like drawn to it automatically. But people just, you know, in a rush, doing what they're doing, and just, I don't know, they just don't look. Especially if it's something new to you. This is very new, these folks, and they anything says caution, I'd be, what is that? But anyway, and the owner's manual's in the front. You know, I put the battery door on, and it's Velcroed right to the battery door, like they all are, or they were back in these styles. So the owner's manual tells you how to do all this stuff. It's not, you know, wet sump motor like most cars, you know. You don't go out there and just pull the dipstick out and go, okay, there's where it's at. There's parameters that have to be met before you check the oil. But anyway, that's gonna just about roll us out. I downloaded the pre-delivery instructions, as they call it. I just went ahead and got the 26 Riker series, F3 series, RT series, and Canyon series. So I'll just look through that thing tonight, make sure there's nothing that I'm not familiar with, because they seem to change things every year. And those PDF manuals, or pre-delivery manuals, it's in a PDF format. They're the Bible to put these things together right. You don't follow that thing, you think, oh, I did them last year, I did them the year before. Dude, you need to stop and look. It doesn't take any time to go through them, and I'll have that thing open on the laptop when I'm doing it tomorrow. So I made myself a big hole because they sit, it's a big square crate, and they sit sideways in it. So it needs to be brought in here. I need to know what direction it's facing. And what I'll do is probably build it towards the door so I can get the crate pieces out, because you can build a house out of this thing and just, have it spun in the direction that it's going to roll out of the crate. I'll go from there. But on that, it's about time to go home here in a few. And we'll talk at you at the house. Thanks for listening I've talked about this stuff before. If you guys have been around, this is probably, I don't know how many of these things I've recorded, the same thing. But anyway, it's a thing, and it'll happen. People new to twins do it. And the twins really don't like that. It fouls spark plugs, it soaks the air filter. Luckily, the way this thing is set up, it doesn't go to the filter, because it breathes in right before the throttle body. You know how that airbox thing, it tubes around, and the throttle body's sitting right about here. You got the big tube going in. It mists that oil right into the plenum. Kind of gets dispersed out there, and it doesn't like that. It doesn't like this sudden, mist of oil going in there, and they don't like to idle that way. And the classic thing, you let it sit for a little bit and fires right up and it goes again, great. Until everything all builds up and starts misting that back in there. But like I said, it'll start spitting out of the dipstick, and the smoke goes, oil on a scalding hot header. You do the math. It's not going to add up very well, but luckily they smoke like a freight train, and you smell it, and you make a big scene and you notice it. So anyway, I've had probably half a dozen of them to that extreme. Boy, you're talking about a mess to clean up. Holy moly. Anyway, thanks for listening to me yammer on today. Well, hello there, YouTube. So, it's not raining at the moment. There's actually some blue skies over there.
Yeah, we'll take it.
But, boy, did it rain coming home.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of spots that was nice, and even the freeway was dry for a little while.
Yeah.
You look up ahead and you're going, oh, whoa. And then Waze is going, bad weather ahead. Then it goes slippery road and all this other stuff that she keeps piping out at you. And she's pretty much right. Mm-hmm. Tomorrow's going to be fun. Doing a brand new 26 Spider Limited SE. She's having a hitch and stuff installed on it too, so that'll be a good job.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. Their rollouts, so I don't have to hoist them, but looking at the PDI stuff, I haven't done an F3 in a long time, and so it's going to be different. We'll work it all out. Got the instructions, just follow it step by step.
Yes.
Do it right. On that, we're going to bounce.
Alrighty. Well, thank you for watching very, very much. We really do appreciate it. We will talk to you tomorrow. Same smoke time, same smoke channel. Don't forget to give a thumbs up. And you guys have an amazing Wednesday or Thursday.
Heck yeah. All right. We'll be back at it tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right.
See you in the morning.
Appreciate you watching now.
Yes.
Bye-bye.